Hello, and welcome to day 6 of the 31 Days of Tarot. My name is Sam Gus, and this is my channel, Sam Gus Tarot, and welcome. The 31 Days of Tarot is a community effort that is led by Ethany and some prompts for each day of the month of January for the community to step forward and put forth their answers and their discussions on these topics and have a opportunity to evolve as a community. And so this year, of course, I want to take part in that. I'm not participating in every day, as you probably can already tell. I missed yesterday. But I think I'm planning on like 17 of the 31 days to participate in. So I look forward to getting to know many of you. The links to Ethany's YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook group, which is the Tarot Readers Academy, will all be down in the links below. So please be sure to check her out. Likewise, if you are also participating in 31 Days of Tarot, I am trying to watch as many of those videos as possible. So please leave your links to your channels below in the comments down below. I would love to come and check it out. So today's prompt is, what tarot decks are you looking forward to the most in 2020 and why? So I've got a few decks here, and I actually have two decks to show you. A deck that I already have, and then two decks I don't have that aren't out yet. So there we go. So I'm going to start off with the decks that aren't out yet, that are actually being released here in 2020. The first one is called the Dark Wood Tarot. It's put out by a lady named Sasha Graham. And I don't have a better way of doing this, y'all. So, but this is going to be the deck that she has coming out. And it's on pre-order now on Amazon. And the artwork just looks phenomenal. And I'm not sure where I know her name from. Matter of fact, maybe if I just click on her author's link. Oh yeah, she does. The 365 tarot spreads book. See if I can blow this up a little bit there. So if you've ever seen this book around, that is her. And it's actually a book that I got last year that it was really fun to play around with and stuff. So when I saw her name again and it come up with context of her own tarot deck, I definitely wanted to check it out. So it's a deck that I'll be pre-ordering. Another deck that I'm going to show you on the iPad here is one that's actually already is out, but I haven't picked it up yet, and I actually plan on doing so as soon as possible, at least during the first quarter of this year. And that is the Lightseers Tarot. And everyone has just been raving about this deck, and the artwork is just stunning. I really like it. And a couple things that I like is, number one, the borderless style, and number two, how the titles of cards you may see in that one right there is actually within the artwork itself. So it's not like a separate tag or anything like that. So these are a couple things that I like about the deck. People, again, are just raving about it. The third deck here, and I know this video is going by rather quickly, so I apologize about that, but this just means you can watch more and other people's 31 Days of Tarot. So this one here is called the Sabbath Tarot, and it was up on Kickstarter last year in 2019. And so I will warn you now, when you see the picture, there is some nudity on the card. So if that's not your thing, skip forward a few seconds. But and actually, I'll just do it now and come back here in like 5 seconds, and I'll continue. So here's a 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, and welcome back if you skipped all that. So the Sabbath Tarot is a very masculine deck. It could be argued that actually it goes without saying that there's a lot of erotic imagery and erotic male imagery on these cards. What drew me when I first saw this deck, though, was two things. Number one, kind of the darker imagery that I've said in the past is something I like. But number two, this deck screams masculinity to me, and there's not a lot of what I consider very masculine decks out there. A lot of feminine decks out there, a lot of neutral energy decks out there, some masculine decks, but not over so. Off the top of my head, I'm like thinking like the top deck. To me, it's a masculine deck, but not overly so. Which is funny because I know some YouTubers who use a top deck who find it to be a feminine deck. So, everyone's energy and how they read it is going to be different. But when I saw these cards, it really spoke to me from having a perspective of a real strong masculinity. So I decided to order it, and this will be actually my second independent deck I'll ever run. So another deck that I'm not going to show, but we'll briefly mention, is the True Black Tarot, which is another independent deck. It's the first one I ever got. I actually showed that in a video just a couple videos ago, so I'm not going to show it again today. But I'll be using it a lot here in 2020, I suspect. So the other two decks are actually decks that are already out. One's a much older deck. Well, actually, they're both older decks. You'll see what I mean by that. But I do plan on using them and learning more about them. And the first one is Fabio Listrani's The Night Sun Tarot. And this deck seems to have a lot of influence from a Thoth deck, but not necessarily. I wouldn't say it was necessarily a Thoth-inspired deck, because there are some other Hermetic and, of course, let's define. Do you define all Hermetic decks as Thoth or not? I don't. I think there is a difference between a Thoth deck and Hermetic deck. This one is definitely Hermetic with the various sigils, symbology, things such as Kabbalistic references, astrological signs in it. On some of these, matter of fact, here's an example. You have some of the Hebrew letters, and therefore getting into the Hebrew numerology that is very Kabbalistic in nature. And the visions of these cards are just stunning. And it's an older deck. It's been out for quite a while, actually. My understanding is, anyway. But I haven't, and I got this last year, but I actually hadn't used it yet. So it is a deck that I am looking forward to using this year, here in 2020, and getting to know more. So that is why I'm looking forward to this one. And then the last deck to share with you is another one that is quite an old deck. This is the Solabusca Tarot, the Museum Quality Kit by Lo Scarabeo. That just came out the last quarter of 2019. And this deck is just beautiful. Now, for those few of you out there who watch this who might not be aware, Solabusca is one of the first fully illustrated tarot decks and older tarot decks that we have access to. And this one deck is one of several remakes of it, I guess, best way of putting it. I know Scarlet Imprint put out one, and I think Lo Scarabeo put out one before this one, and now, of course, this deck. Now, because of the symbology used and stuff, there's a couple things going on here. One, it is very alchemical based. Two is, while the minor arcana follows along with some of the more traditional meaning and symbology that we're accustomed to now, this was the deck that helped influence that. The major arcana are not anywhere near the major arcana that we have now today. They're named after Romans, Greeks, other Europeans that would have been known during this era, the 16th, 17th centuries. and their names actually is who appears on these cards. And so there's a little bit of work that has to go in, like to find out who these people were, what type of personality were they, what were they known for. And this kind of forms the archetypes of the major arcana in the Solovusca. So this isn't really a deck for reading per se, as much it is a great historical reproduction and a study and reference deck. And so I do intend on spending some time this next year getting to know this deck. There's actually a book by Scarlet Imprint out called The Game of Saturn, which is apparently the book that explores the history and tradition of the Solovusca. And once I get that book here this next year and start the study, I will actually talk to you guys more about that and actually have that up on my channel here. Speaking of which, if this is your first time here, thank you for joining me today. Make sure you hit that like button down below if you like what you saw. Leave a comment. Let's get to know each other. Be part of the community. If you have links to your own videos, by all means, feel free to leave them down below. I'm not here for any type of competition or trying to do anything other than just be part of the community and share some of my thoughts and viewpoints on things. Let's see, if you want to subscribe, of course, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that little icon down below so you get notified whenever I put up a new video. And I will see you at the next video. Until then, have a great day and goodbye.